Welcome. I'm your host, Paula Scatoloni, the founder of Transformative Harmonics, a podcast that offers listeners a synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern science. Welcome back to another episode of Transformative Harmonics. I'm Paula Scatoloni, and I am thrilled to be sitting here today with someone who I've tried to set up this interview a few times, and we're finally making it work. So we're both very pleased. But before I start, I would like to invite you to slow down and create some space for this conversation. As you know, a lot of times that we don't make that time to slow down and create the space. And so we're in a continuous process of ingesting and feeding ourselves without stopping to digest. And my hope today, because this is, I feel, an important conversation, that you create a little space to really listen to the words and the message and what we're saying today. And some of this may land and have a space for you, and some of it may have to wait for another time, but you can always come back and listen again. So I'm going to read a short bio about Dawn. Dawn describes herself as a phoenix, a shape shifter, and a powerful activator of change. She is a qualified trauma-informed counselor trained in numerous psychotherapeutic models, including internal family systems, somatic experiencing, polyvagal theory, NLP, Hakomi, DBT, family constellations, and equine assisted therapy. Dawn is also an expert on food and body image. She has over 30 years of experience in treating eating disorders and has worked with and mentored with the trailblazer Carolyn Costin of the Carolyn Costin Institute. Dawn has trained in multiple metaphysical schools, including Celtic shamanism, UC Reiki, master training, energy healing, chakra alignment, sound healing, therapeutic dance, medicine drumming, and voice transformation. She is a TED Talk speaker and is about to publish her first book, Wild Soul Revolution. Dawn also has a background as a professional dancer and an internationally acclaimed fitness coach and athlete. There's so many sides to Dawn. I love each time we meet, I get another piece of the puzzle. So I am thrilled. Today we had to think about, how to bring all this together into a way for us to speak concisely. But we're going to have a chat today about your journey and what you're doing right now in the world, which is so important. And so I would like to first welcome you and thank you for arriving. I think this is our third time trying to meet. So, and third times are good. And yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and what Wild Soul Revolution is. Let's just start there.
And like all your guests, I'm sure, I'm going to say, where do I start? So, Wild Soul Revolution. I called my business Wild Soul Revolution because I journeyed with anorexia for 3 decades. And it was my wild soul, the part of me. Oh, my soul isn't a part of me. But it was my wild soul that saved my life. So she was the one, she was the fighter. She was the warrior. She was the Defiance. She was the one that pushed back. She was the one that refused to be told what to do, refused to be pushed around. She was the one that kept reminding me about my truth and who I was. And that this part of me that was anorexia, that's definitely a part, could not be more powerful than I was, because she was just a part of me and I was giving her all of her power. She was getting her power from me, so she couldn't be more powerful than me. And my wild soul was the me that just kept showing up and standing at my shoulder and supporting me and cheerleading me on and reminding me of my power and my truth and my authenticity, and reminding me that I come from the stars, that I am made of stardust, and like we all are. And so there is nothing that I cannot accomplish, nothing I cannot do if I choose to. And that's a huge thing when you're in, a massive journey like that. Because you do forget who you are. You do forget that you're the one with the power. You think, I did for a long time, I believed anorexia was who I was. So my wild soul pushing me to revolution, to stand up and tell anorexia, no, this is over. We're not doing this anymore. But to do it day after day after day, right? Because there's no way just standing up and saying it once is going to do the trick. You've got to do it over. And anyone who's been involved with that thing, she's always, anorexia for me was a she. She's always moving the goalpost, always, she's shapeshifts. So I had to match her. I had to get out in front of her because she was always out in front of me for the longest time. And it was my wild soul that just kept pushing me to do that. So it's because of my wild soul and the revolution that she stood by me in that I'm alive today. So, and now, I mean, it's a movement. It's a movement. So all the women that I work with, I know if you're walking through my door, your wild soul's already made a connection with my wild soul. And she's directed you to me because she's like, you need someone that can remind you about your wild soul and set you on fire and get you, pointed in the right direction, but he's also going to stand at your shoulder and be there with you through the thick and the thin and will never let you forget the divinity of who you are. And just keep holding that vision and shining that light so that you can find your way back through the darkness, back to that little candle in the window.
Yeah. And so the I know, but we both have the same background and don't see eating disorders as being about food. The journey itself and the things that those dark pieces that wild soul has to move through. And what are some of those?
Well, personally, I have deep childhood trauma, and was very at home living. I was very at home living in my shadow. So, and yeah, everybody needs to go into the shadow to do the deep work, to do that, to really trawl, to find the gold. But we shouldn't be in there all the time. And so, although my wild soul gave me the strength and the fortitude and the resilience to keep going down in there and doing the work and to not be afraid. But she also reminded me about coming back to the light and living in the joy, finding joy. And it is hard to find. when you're in that kind of a relationship, because it's an abusive relationship with yourself. And so, Paula, I don't know. That's why I call myself a phoenix. I've had so many dark nights of the soul. I don't know how many times I've, poof, into fire, into ash, and then had to rebuild myself. So, and every single time I did, it was a rebirth. My middle name is Carly, and death, birth, rebirth, that cycle. And I did it over and over and over. And my wild soul guided me in and out of that, weaving me in and out of that time after time after time. She's fearless. She's absolutely fearless. And I am so so grateful to be able to have such a close relationship with this part of my soul. She's fierce. She's fearless and she's fierce, but she's so compassionately loving. She's that fierce love, it just keeps pulling you back up and saying, come on, I love you. We can do this. Come on. So no matter, she'd let me experience what I needed to experience, but she was always ready with, okay, enough now. Enough now. Yeah. One foot in front of the other. Don't sit down in the dark, love. We do not sit down. You can spend time in the dark. Don't sit down in the dark. So one foot in front of the other. Let's start moving.
Yeah, I'm feeling into how many of us on that journey had moments of having to pull ourselves out of darkness. And I had never thought about feeling that as an aspect of the soul.
Yeah. And I don't think I did either until I was approaching my recovery. And that's when I started to see her. That's when I started to see her differentiate and be able to see her for what she was and how she'd been there the entire time. Every time I answered back, every time I stood up for myself, every time I spoke my truth, every time I refused to back down, it's her. Was her.
Okay. Which is why our topic today is going to turn into a topic about voice. And so that sparks my curiosity then.
Yes. Gosh, me and voice. I was always told right from being little that I was too big for my boobs. That's what my dad told me. I was too big for my boots because I always had something to say. Every time I was told not to do something or not to be something, or I'd always have a why for that. And I wanted to know, it wasn't just why, it was, well, why can't I do that? And how do you get to tell me that I can't do that? So that was my wild soul. The defiance in me was that I always had that connection back with my truth. And my truth was, no one has any authority over me. I'm a sovereign being. And I have the right to be here, take up space, speak, use my voice, be who I am. And you might be bigger than me and older than me, but you're not above me. And so I was kind of labeled when I was young, I was kind of labeled with this, she's got a problem with authority figures. But it wasn't that I had a problem with people in authority. It was just like I knew who I was. I knew that this was all kind of engineered and orchestrated, and it wasn't real.
Yeah.
And I pushed. I was a pusher.
Yeah.
I would push against them.
Yeah.
And that was my wild soul, saying, yeah, you have as big and as much a right to be here in this world as anybody else does. No one's above you, no one's below you. We're all the same and we're all equal. You speak up. And that speaking up would get me into trouble, right? But I still never stopped speaking up.
Yeah, I'm glad. But like we can see how the world probably met that energy, right? When we think about the invitation for women to speak, for children to speak.
Yeah, I was a child, but I was a girl child. And where I grew up in, really lower working class Britain, girl children, they really didn't carry any weight at all. Even though we were poor, we were still supposed to be seen but not heard. And it's also interesting, right? Because I'm aware of what I just said about, my wild soul saying you got as much right to take up as much space as anybody else. And yet, of course, with anorexia, what you do is diminish yourself and diminish yourself and diminish yourself and diminish yourself so that you're not taking up any space at all.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, I had these two very, very strong, powerful parts of me that for the longest time, really, until I went into really focused on my recovery, which was not until I was 40. I was in that conflict, that constant conflict all day, every day with these two really powerful forces. It never stopped. And it taught me a lot about my truth and about how powerful we really are and how powerful we are when we show up in our truth, in our honesty, in our authenticity, and we won't be intimidated. We can't be threatened and we can't be made to feel afraid. Jeez, are we powerful? And that unnerves people. There are a lot of situations I've been in where, people just do not want me in the room. And I don't even have to speak.
Do you feel right now that this, as you work with your clients and step into the next phase of your work, that this piece is really important right now?
I think it's pivotal.
Mm-hmm.
My journey, it was for the evolution of my soul. I'd already agreed to that before I came in, right? But it's like, right, okay. This is how I'm going to find out about, the extremes. I'll just, I'll take that bit. I'll take that job on. And I also believe, being born into the family that I was born into the circumstances that I was born into, it was like, spirit, source energy, where I came from, where we all come out of, the light, said, oh, well, that's one heck of a mission you've taken on there. We better give you the skills to deal with that. And so I was born into the circumstances that I was born into, because that all the trauma that I went through brought me back to myself, taught me what I needed to, what I needed to integrate for me. It brought me really deeply and intimately into this relationship with my wild soul and other parts of my soul. Not only so that I could make it through that journey, so that my soul could evolve, but so that when I came out the other end, now I've got all of this wisdom and knowledge, and I mean knowing to share with other women. Yeah. And I'm absolutely sure there's not a doubt in my being that that's what I'm here to do. Yeah. To bring more women back to the truth of their voice, the truth of their authenticity, so that we can really start moving into the world, claiming our space, claiming our right to be, claiming our right to speak, and just showing up in our truth, in our light, as who we really are. Mm. And when as more and more women do, I see it all around me. As more and more women are doing that, we will change the world. The world is changing. And I think did the Dalai Lama say that Western women are going to change the world or something like that? But and this is not, I'm not knocking men, but what I'm saying is we've lived in this patriarchal energy for 6,000-7,000 years now. And all of these wounds that the feminine is carrying, we're about healing them. We know the time has come, and we are all about healing them. Mm-hmm. And as we do, there's going to be no choice. This patriarchal energy that's long past its sell-by date, it's going to shift. It can't not, and we'll all rise. Right? When the tide comes in, all boats rise, to use that old metaphor. Yeah. And this time is absolutely pivotal. And we're all here now, all as women. I mean, look how I found you. And look at all the other incredible women that that are finding their way to you. You're finding, I'm coming into contact with. It's like a freaking, I see it like like the old telephone boards where a woman used to sit there with the headphones on and she'd got all the wires and she'd connect, all these calls with, this call coming in, I'll connect you with this. It's like that, but it's like all these lights are coming in and we're just kind of all connecting on this big kind of, it's like, there's another light on. We're all finding each other that way. And it's absolutely time. It's time.
Yeah, I can feel it. So your journey is amazing. It makes me think about my journey a little bit too, of the irony or the paradox that we get put into, to like the hero's journey, slay the dragons and find our way through, so we can turn around and bring that to the world. And voice, and the importance of voice, is not a place that I have immersed myself in it as much as you, in the way that you sing, you literally use your voice. Yeah. And also all these different other realms of embodiment of yourself through your voice. Yeah. So I would love to talk or hear about, what that piece of your journey was like as well.
So, singing for me, I was born into quite a musical family. My mum, my parents are Scottish Irish, and my dad could play all sorts of instruments. And we didn't have a piano, but he had an organ, and he could play the piano accordion. And he could read music and write music, and there was always music on in our house. And my mum had this beautiful singing voice, with this Scottish lilt to it. And one of the joys for me was at night when we went to bed, and my mum would be down in the kitchen baking or cooking or sewing or, all of the things, right, that women had to do in those days, because, that's what you did, to look after your family. You had to do repairs, and you had to, do the needlework. And I'd be lying in bed, and as she was doing whatever it was that she was doing, she'd sing. And I used to creep out of bed and creep halfway down the stairs and just sit with my, just leaning my head on the wall and just listen to my mum sing. And that was because the authenticity in my mum's voice when she sang, I knew that was a truth. And at any other time in our life, because we had a hard life, and we were always in survival mode. We never knew where the next penny was coming from. We really didn't. I think I was one of 6. We really didn't have enough money to feed us all. And we were always in survival mode. There was always this panic, just kind of under the surface. And but when she sang, it was honest. It was truth. It was, I could feel the light in her voice. And so she encouraged me to sing, and I guess I just had this, I was born with a voice. So, but singing for me was always as an escape route. It was a way for me to escape my life. So when I sang, whatever songs I sung, and I liked to sing most things, but I would also make up my own songs. And it was like me being transported into a different world. And I could pretend that, I was someone else, and I had a different life, and I was living a different life, and I was doing different things. But then my mom was always proud of my singing voice, and she was always trying to push me out there and get my voice heard and get me seen. And whereas my dad wanted to shut my voice down, he didn't like that I had he'd let me sing at home with him, but he didn't want me out there being seen. I'm not sure what I do have my thoughts about what that was about, but that's another story. So then I did start to use my voice, and I used it was commercialized. I used to sing in bands, and but it all never felt like, it felt like I moved away from my truth, what I was given this voice for. And after a little while, I stopped singing altogether. And I didn't sing for a very long time. Even at home, I wouldn't sing at home. And that's something I used to do, that when all the kids were out and there was no one else home, I'd just whack the music up loud and sing my head off. But it all stopped. And then about 3 years ago, I picked up a drum, and I went to a drum workshop, actually. And the woman who was teaching this workshop started singing with her drum and asked us to join in. And I was thinking, if I'd known this was going to be a singing thing, I wouldn't have come. But anyway, I did start to sing, and I was like, whoa, hang on a minute, this is powerful. And so it wasn't just my voice, it was my voice with the drum. And then I went home, scoured the internet for a drum, bought a drum, and soon as it came through the door, started just singing. I didn't even know what I was singing. I'd start to play, and as soon as I started to play, the voice just wanted to come through. And gone was the need to perfect it and for it to be, you know, perfectly in pitch and for it to sound that, you know, with this certain quality or whatever. That was all gone. It was about the authenticity, the rawness, the truth that just wanted to come into the world and out like sound waves do. Once they're out there, you don't know how far they're traveling and who they're going to touch. But it was such a powerful thing that wanted to come up and through me and out into the world. And I couldn't have stopped it if I'd tried. And so, so the voice came back. And I started bringing my voice into, because I've done Reiki, energy healing, all of that stuff. And when I don't do it anymore, I very rarely do that kind of energy work anymore, because I think it's old paradigm. But anyway, when people would be on my table, I cannot tell you the amount of times that I'd have my hands wherever and I just want to sing. You know, I just wanted to sing a tone or hum, or I could hear something coming through me that I wanted to sing. And I thought, you can't do that, Dawn. You're going to freak this person out. You know, if they're lying there and you suddenly start singing over them, they might be like, what the hell is this? You know, this is not what I paid for. So I shut it down. I didn't do it. But after I got then I realised, of course, yes, that was exactly what you should have done.
That was your medicine. Is your medicine. It's your medicine.
And so I started bringing my voice and drumming into all of the work that I was doing, and holy heck, did it make a difference?
Yes.
And not only when I'm singing, it made a difference to, you know, the quality of the connection that I've got when I'm just doing my kind of talk therapy. So win-win.
Win-win. Yeah. So it's your medicine. It's your medicine. And you even brought it to your work with the horses as well, didn't you?
So we haven't mentioned that. Hey, that's this other part that I do. You know, it's not equine therapy, it's horse medicine. Because horses were pivotal in my recovery from anorexia. They really, really were. You know, I went out with these horses, and I was still in complete denial that there was anything wrong with me. And I went out with these horses, and when I was with the horses, I just noticed that, like, the voice that's on constantly criticizing and judging and just, you know, controlling you, running you down, telling you what to do. When I was out with the horses, it wasn't there. And when that voice isn't there, you've got access to other parts of you that you can't access, because that voice gatekeeps. Because the point of anorexia is to keep you disconnected from yourself, right? Because that part of you knows, if she connects with her truth, I'm done. So, you know, anorexia has to keep you disconnected from who you are so that she can continue to have any power. And when I was with the horses, she didn't have any power. So I went on to, you know, learn that modality myself and to spend as much time with horses as I could. And it's just absolutely, they're incredible healers. And right from the beginning, I just got this impression that they were standing there going, okay, are you ready? What are we, are you ready? Are you ready to get what I want, what I can share, what I can give? And there's most people think about horses and they think about getting on them. They think about riding them as if, that's all you do with a horse. And the horses are just standing around going, go on then, But, when you're ready, I've got a load of other stuff that I can teach you, a load of other stuff I can share with you, but okay, you're not there yet. And so I'd just go spend hours, with horses, and they opened doors. They brought me back to my soul. They brought me back to my truth. So when I take my drum down to the horses now, God, they'll come across the field. They see you coming and it's like, oh, the drum's here. And when you play, when I play, they'll just come and they gather around. I've had the most beautiful experience of, I had a circle of women. We were sitting on the ground, and our horses are Cleveland Bays, they're 16, 17 hand horses. And we were sitting on the ground, and all these women sitting there with their eyes closed, the trust there. And, five horses just at liberty. So no halters, no ropes, just, they can go wherever they want. And we're sitting there, I'm drumming, everyone's singing, and the horses are just weaving their way around the circle, and then they'd stop and they'd put the head over somebody. And the leader of the herd, the mare that was leading that herd at that time, she came and stood right behind me so that I was leaning back on her front legs, and I was playing my drum and singing. Everybody else was singing. I was leaning back on her front legs, and I just got this vision of this massive herd of Ancestral, her ancestral herd, all at my back, just supporting this drive forwards, this momentum forwards. It was so powerful. And I'm trying to hold myself together, right? Because I'm leading a group here and I'm trying to hold space for everybody else. But after that session came to an end and I came home, sat outside in my hanging chair and got my drum again and just asked to be taken back to that moment so that I could really feel into the message there and the power of that. And oh my gosh, it was hundreds of horses in this ancestral herd, just lending their loving, powerful support in saying, yes, move this forwards and we're behind you. All of us beings, we're all sentient beings, all the beings of the earth. Yes, authenticity, voice, sound, music, the pulse of the rhythm, not the rhythm, the pulse that drives the rhythm that's underneath. The horses know. They've got 4 feet on the ground all day, every day. They know that pulse. And just leaning back on Dancer, her name's Dancer, just leaning back on Dancer, I could feel all of that in this, ancestral herd. And it was just freaking awesome.
Sounds fabulous. Amazing. Yeah. You can't, those moments of clarity, knowing you're in the right place at the right time right now.
Absolutely. And just like, it was like, what you've got to do. You know what you're here to do. It's not any more complicated than that. Pick up a drum and sing. It's not. educated than that. But reach whoever it needs to reach. They'll take whatever they need to take from it. Because I've done all of that work about coming home to myself, now I know I can stand in that power. When I stand with my drum and I sing, I've got foot in both worlds. And the horses know that. They treat me differently when I'm playing my drum than they do when I'm not. They see me in more depth. And people know that. The people I work with know that.
Yeah. In those moments, you are the holder, in a way, of the ancestral and the now, bringing those two together. And the drum is the medicine, that sound and voice. And then are the women as well in those circles opening their voice as well?
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah.
And then, and some of them, it might take them 2 or 3 circles before they're even brave enough to. No one's singing on their own. It's always collective singing. You get the choice to sing or not. And some of them, it takes them a little while before they're brave enough to add their voices. But once they do, yeah. And then they're messaging me between sessions going, these things have started to change in my life and I haven't done anything. So what is it that's happened? Either something that worked its way out, or some kind of trauma suddenly doesn't have the weight that it had. Relationships drop into a different space. Relationships with their kids drop into a different space. The way they feel about themselves, the way they feel about their bodies, the way they feel about their voices. So now, someone says something, and instead of just sitting back and letting it slip, letting it slide, they're speaking up. And I'm not doing anything with them that's, it's not like we're going through a script or anything where we're practicing, speaking up. All we're doing is singing. All we're doing is being with the pulse of this drum and the energy and the medicine that comes through it and what it's carrying. And if you're open to that, you don't even have to be open to it. It's going to get you one way or to different degrees.
Yes, I've experienced it. It changed. Brought in something new for me, definitely. It's very primordial. It's very much a remembering.
Well, the other thing about the drum is, remembering that the drum is the oldest instrument in the world. Yeah. And it was the women that played the drums, especially the hand drums. In archaeology, they found etchings, and even on in Egypt, in hieroglyphs, there's women holding these circles, and the archaeologists, mostly men, bless them, said, women holding a plate.
Oh, it wasn't.
Why would you think they were holding a plate? No, hundreds of us, gapping in spaces to play the drums, and the tambourine, with all the little jingles outside. It wasn't just for shaking. They do the finger patterns and they tinkle those things around the outside, and it was divine. It was in connection with their gods. So, and that was us. It was women. And Romans outlawed it. Mm. Romans made it illegal, against the law, for women to play the drum. And again, why? Why? Is there something about us and power when we're holding a drum? Is there something about us and divine connection that, you're a little bit scared of when we're holding a drum? And still, in some places in Europe, it's still illegal for women to play the drum in public. Wow. So they're still gathering in secret in women's homes, playing their drums. But they're not allowed to do it out in public. So the more drums I can put in more women's hands, that's my wild soul. She's like, look, get yourself a drum.
Yeah. I'm starting to get the picture of the wild soul now, because I feel like for myself it comes out when I'm in these places and I have to speak the truth about something that is not said. And it tends to be in some of these domains about therapeutic modalities and the indigenous wisdom behind the modalities. And but it is, it's a fire to bring forward some truth. And so I'm feeling that now.
Yeah. Every woman, your defiance, your refusal, and your knowing, when you can just feel that, hang on a minute, this is not okay, this is not right. That's your wild soul.
Ah, okay.
Think about Clarissa Pinkola Estes's book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. We've been domesticated. We've been sanitized. Our wild spaces have been taken off of us. To be wild has been made into a bad thing. It's you're risking a loss of control. If you lose control of yourself, and if you show up as angry, or you show up as irritated or rageful, that's a bad thing. But that's your wild soul. And if you're angry or rageful, your boundaries have been crossed. And your wild soul is saying, don't cross my line. I'm holding my space. Step back. Get a drum, Paula.
I love it. Yes. I have a small one that I use sometimes in my groups, but you've piqued my curiosity about this. And so let's see if we can move into a couple questions that I ask all my guests. And one is I think about the journey of transformation that everyone is on. Well, that many people, not everyone, many people are on journey of coming back to their, let's say, their wild soul. And if you had to, I know there was probably a lot of places where you felt it was pivotal, but if you had to pick one thing that was helpful on your journey that you might encourage others to do, or to explore, or to be curious about.
So, really simple practice of bringing you back to your voice, right? Because it's really hard to stand up and say no, or to, own your space, or to embody, or to defy, if you are not familiar with the sound of your own voice and you don't trust your own voice. And let's face it, a lot of us don't. So a really simple practice is just humming. Start humming mindfully, right? So finding a quiet space, just like you would if you were going to sit down and meditate, and just find a hum. Just let yourself just find a hum, and follow the hum like you would if you breath in a mindful practice. Follow the hum back into your body and find where it's coming from. Where is this hum originating from? And I'm not talking about, your vocal cords. I'm talking about on a soul level, where is this hum coming from? Might be in your rib cage, might be in your solar plexus, might be in your womb, might be in a hip. Where is this hum coming from? And just really getting curious about the hum and being with it. And allowing it to open up and show you what's it come to teach you, what's it come to show you in this moment. What is this hum bringing through for you? And it, to start with, it might not be any more than just a curiosity of what is this. But just like breath work, every time you come back to that hum, you deepen your connection with your sound. And this is your sound. The voice you were born with is yours. Your sound. So then, after a little while, play with the hum and see what it wants to become. And in times, through your day, then, you can start bringing it into the outer world. People might not, you might still be, worried about letting other people hear it. But when something's happening, and you're getting, your little thoughts of, I don't like this, or why is this happening? Or why did they say that? Or why am I thinking this? Or, you're in a bit of a difficult, something that's a little bit, just hum. It doesn't have to be, it can be really quiet. And just allow the hum of your truth to bring you home to your body. Because when we're in our bodies and we're familiar with our voice and we feel at home in our bodies, you're pretty untouchable. And that's how it starts.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. I'm going to try that myself. I did play with just allowing my voice. I spent some time with authentic movement and dance therapists who use voice, and that was my first exposure to the idea of just allowing the voice to be something that unfolds, right? Just like the body. A movement, impulse unfolds, the voice impulse unfolds. And it's a powerful journey to start hearing yourself and to become more aware of your discomfort with it, or how unusual it might feel, and how it's not something easily accessible if you have learned to silence it.
Yeah, and also, we've been told over and over, that singing's only a few special people can sing.
Yes.
Sure where all of these, because it's just a behavior. I'm not sure where all of these behaviors, whether it's dance, singing, painting, drumming, or I'm not sure where they all turned into skills, where we learn how to do them to a certain level. No, they're all our birthright. We can all do. So, yeah, so people are scared as well because they think they can't sing. You can. Everyone can. You've got a voice. Start with humming. Yeah. It doesn't have to be you. That's not what it's about. It's about bringing you back to yourself.
Yes. I love it. My second question is, and we might have answered it, if there is one message that today in this podcast, knowing that, you may come back and we may talk again, what feels important today? What message?
Well, one, you are a wild soul. It's in there. She is in there and you need her. But it's this it's this message that we are using our voice all day, every day, and yet so very few of us are using our voice. It's so easy to come back to it. A little bit at a time. But it's so important that we do, because each of our individual voices, there's no other voice like yours on this planet, because there's no other you. And that's all by design. And each of our single individual voices, sovereign voices, are needed. That's the message.
Sounds like a good place to end. Dawn, it has been such a pleasure to sit and just listen and drink up your sharing, your story, what you're offering. It feels so rich, so vibrant, so alive, so needed. And I'm so excited to share this and have people start to gather. And I know you're all the way in New Zealand, so I don't know if your work is online. So maybe we can just share what's the best way for people to find you and what are you offering?
Best way to find website, wildsoulrevolution.com. And everything that I'm offering at the moment is on there. So I do offer a group immersive. It's a small group. And I offer one-to-one work with those intrepid souls that are ready to make some big shifts fast. And anybody wants to come out and be with my horses, that's yes, please, is answer to that. And we do hold horse retreats from time to time, so you get to be with them every day for a week, as well as drumming and singing, and it's very, very special. But check it out on the website. Everything's on there.
Wonderful. And what part of New Zealand are
I'm
you
in Nelson, which is at the top of the South Island. It's the sunniest place in New Zealand, which is why I live here.
Beautiful. Well, I hope people get to meet you online or in person and experience this journey with you. And thank you again for spending time with me. And I look forward to bringing you back on. It sounds like we have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paula. Thank you for giving me the time and space, and thank you for being you.
Yeah, I'm glad we found each other. It's been great.